Hey Tegan, what's in the bag? It's the show where I get home from the comic book store and we look through my bag of comics because, say it with me, folks, I buy too many comic books. I guess it's a problem. I just enjoy buying comic books. It's injecting money into the local community and into the direct market, which, I still do appreciate after all these years. So the first thing I'd like to do today is to point you in the direction of the Patreon. If you like this video, if you like any of my videos on any of my channels, or any of my writing, that's where you need to go, and there's tons of stuff there. Decades worth of my writing compiled over the years for you to download there. Now, first up, let's look at the new issue of Birds of Prey, because this has been consistently one of my favorite series every month that it's seen print in its current incarnation. Now, traditionally, Birds of Prey is one of my favorite books, so this still being at the top of my pile isn't necessarily that unusual, but this is a really good volume of Birds of Prey, a good and interesting mix of characters. The second arc maybe doesn't quite seem to have doesn't have 100% of the pizzazz as the first arc did, but that's, ongoing comics. The fact that it is ongoing, I think, is pretty remarkable. I have no idea what the sales are like. I'm doing myself a favor and giving myself the present of not looking at the sales charts anymore. I used to study them rather meticulously, and it's just very depressing if you do it long enough and often enough. But when I bought the first issue of this, I thought it was a 5-issue limited series, because everything they do is 5 or 6 issue limited series. And it turned out to be ongoing, and I'm really happy. I hope it lasts 50 or 75 issues with this creative team. That's probably not going to happen, but I hope they get to make a lot more of it, because I am really enjoying the Kelly Thompson Birds of Prey. So much so that I've been buying other Kelly Thompson books because I'm impressed by her work here in a way that, I've read other stuff from her before, but it didn't really hook me like the first arc on this book definitely hooked me hard. I'm in it for the duration, and I hope it doesn't get disrupted by any silly crossovers or anything. I'm not paying any attention to Ultimate Power or whatever they're doing now, and if it messes up one of the 3 or 4 DC books that I'm into, I'll be upset. I'll be upset in the matter. So the one problem with the book is, it's the same problem just about on 85-90% of books these days, is that after a while it starts with, I think the first 4 or 5 issues were the same person, and then it becomes artist roulette. And sometimes you get a good artist, and sometimes you get a decent artist who maybe doesn't fit. Who's doing this? This is Robbi Rodriguez, Javier Pina, and Gavin Guidry. Okay, I know all those names. Those are all good names. That's actually kind of a miracle to have three names on a book like that, and to be confident, okay, I know all 3 of these guys. It's probably going to be pretty decent. Kelly Thompson, as I mentioned, writing. Leonardo Romero, he was the original artist that I mentioned, and he's come back and done more issues of the book since. But that first stretch with just him and Kelly Thompson is really fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. Jordie Bellaire, should go without saying that a book this good is going to have his very distinctive colors on it. And, again, more proof as if you needed it for the adage that the colorist in the digital era has taken the place that the inker used to have in the pre-digital era in terms of really having a disproportionate say in how the finished book looks. And you couldn't say that necessarily about most colorists up until the turn of the century. There's really only a handful of colorists in the entire mainstream. But now, people like Jordie Bellaire, people who come up after Geordie Blair and take after him specifically, really seem to put a lot of work on their part, not just to filling in all the crowd scenes in a single color. More of this, they're really pushing the Godzilla with the, is this a mobility enhancement? I haven't seen this one yet. It's available now, so I guess I gotta watch it at some point. I generally do dig the American Godzilla movies. I thought the second one, was that King of the Monsters with King Ghidorah? I thought that was actually downright underrated. People, I don't think, gave that one a fair shot. It made a lot of money, but I thought it was a gorgeous looking film, and I don't think it got a lot of credit for that. You can give me hell for that in the comments if you want, but I'm standing by it. So, yeah, this storyline, as I said, they're running through this series of scenarios in this pocket dimension. Last issue, I just got caught up on the book the other day. Last issue, we found out that they're trapped in this pocket dimension that was created by this group of sextuplets. I think sextuplets or septuplets, who all had superpowers. One of them could create alternate dimensions, pocket dimensions. And what happened was that one of them turned bad, lured them all into this pocket dimension that they built, and killed them all, and now is luring the birds of prey and other people as well to try and kill them. So, interesting. That, just how I'm describing it, sounds like it could be a decent premise for a new villain who's got their own pocket universe. And the distinctive thing about this pocket universe is that it takes on the characteristics of the people who enter it. And they were very specific about this. Whenever they go through the door and change worlds, the first person through the door resets the temperature for the new version of the universe. So it looks like who's first through the it's is that Sin through the first? So it takes on the attributes of the first person through. So this is a prehistoric world filled with dinosaurs. Okay, there you go. So the last issue, we got to see Big Barda's universe, which was a weird 1950s domestic, quote-unquote, utopia. It's not like their dream worlds or anything, but a representation of, some aspect of their inner psychology. And that made sense for Barda. And now they're fighting for their life against dinosaurs here. Is he doing Shark Week? Now, I thought John Cena was on the upswing. Is Shark Week something you do when you're on the downswing? What do you came to answer? You're like, no, man, he's John Cena. He does whatever he wants. Thank you. I was planning on sending this into CGC, and now it's got cat damage. Yeah. Me sending a comic into CGC. Man, this is nice, though. You got to admit. Every different section of this has a different color tone. Well, it all still, works together. Man, this is a nice looking book. If you were waiting for the first Cave Girl, Batgirl. Okay, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing action figures of that for a while. I would buy one, straight up. Cave Girl, Batgirl, that right there? That is a winning idea. What is this? Dark Knights of Steel All Winter. I haven't read any of these Dark Knights of Steel books. Nice art, but the DC heroes in a sword and sorcery fantasy, Constantine. Oh, Constantine, sorry. I was just reminded of that the other day. Zealot, who's... Honestly, this is for my money, just her appearance in this book is the single best use of any Wildstorm property in the regular DC universe since the switchover. And it's been a long time. But she fits here. It feels like she's a part of this universe in a way that these characters just, they haven't really, because that wasn't, they did it during the New 52, but that wasn't necessarily the storytelling part of this thing. I already talked about not being interested in this. I just watched a video. I watched Blurred Without Fear's rundown of the premise of the first issue, and I was, I felt good not taking the plunge on that after I heard him describe what was actually in it. So thank you for that, Blurred Without Fear. Dan Mora, though, I mean, pretty good. Pretty good. But we're still looking at the birds. Man, look at how good this looks. If you were waiting for the first trade, you got to go back and catch up. Because this right here, this is an excellent book. Feels like the character. She's got a really good, people are talking already about the interaction between Barda and Cassie Kane. And that definitely rings true. The characters have different voices. They sound like themselves. The decisions they make in the course of the story seem like true to the characters. That's an interesting costume. Snake Lady. Alrighty. She probably has a better name than Snake Lady. Take us to Barbara Gordon or die, because that's what they're doing. They're looking for Barbara Gordon. That's why they went into the alternate dimensions in the first place. Now, of course, they're going to find her and realize that she's a cave girl, Batgirl, and it was fantastic that she decided to do that, and then she's going to stay doing that, I hope, for a good amount of time. Let's go back and look at Cave Girl, Batgirl again. Because that right there, like 50 years from now, that'll be in the eBay description for this title. First, Cave Girl, Batgirl. Mark my words. All right, so are you comfortable? All right, let's look at this thing. Free Agents, number 1. New number 1 from Image. The reason why it came home for me is it's written by Kurt Busiek and Fabian Nicieza. All right, if you have a long memory, you might remember Kurt Busiek and Fabian Nicieza. I don't remember if it's the first time they worked together, but they worked together for a significant amount of time on the first run of Thunderbolts for Marvel. Kurt Busiek originated the team with Mark Bagley. Kurt Busiek left, I think, at year 3, and he left the book in Nicieza's hands after co-writing it with Nicieza for a while, and then he just left it in Fabian's hands. And I almost dropped it when Busiek left. And Fabian Nicieza really stepped up and impressed me and made the whole run of the book pretty much up until 75, and we know what happened after that. But for a Marvel book, 75 issues is a good solid run. And then they even came back and did a return with Busiek and Nicieza and Tom Grummett as well, actually during the era of Civil War. And Thunderbolts told a kind of an important side story during Civil War. Oddly enough, Baron Zemo's finest hour when all the heroes were trying to kill each other. Anyway, so I have no idea what this is. New Image book from Kurt Busiek, Astro City. Fabian Nicieza, Deadpool. And Stephen Mooney, Half Past Danger. I don't know what Half Past Danger is. I don't know what this book is about. All I know is the names on the cover, and if I like what I read, we'll give it a go the second time around. Triona Tree Farrell, color artist. Richard Starkings and Comicraft's Tyler Smith, lettering and design. Kel Simons, editor. They were out of the Eric Larson variant. It's got the dragon on it. I was going to come home with that, but they didn't have it. I didn't much care for the Maguire. So, don't know who these guys are. Don't know what they're doing. Looks like some post-authority type superhero team in the image mold. Nice art. Decent colors here. But this is just introducing us to these people and what they do. I like this art. This guy's putting a lot of character into these faces. Decent civilian clothes. The drapery works. The drapery works. That's not something you get without practice. That's not something you get without sitting down with, well, all right, I'm old, and my references were borrowed from my mother from when she learned to draw a long time ago. So she sat me down with like the Bern Hogarth books, and I spent a lot of time reading those Bern Hogarth books and all the dynamic drapery, which frankly, I mean, you could still do worse. If you want to be an artist, go into the store and find whatever Bern Hogarth books you can find. Very old school, but solid as a rock. Will teach you stuff like drapery, stuff like how to draw the shape of the head, drawing wisdom that has not necessarily changed and will not change. Good to have a solid grounding in the most, bog standard, boring fundamentals, because, that's what makes a career. That's what makes you a career as an artist, is knowing what you're doing, as opposed to just being able to copy some facile details. So, it's character stuff that I need to read to understand. But it looks like we're spending time with this cast, getting to know them as people before they just jump back into their costumes to do superhero stuff. New Superhumans debuted this morning in Jersey City. Oh, well, I didn't know this was set in New Jersey. Goodness. New Jersey is kind of crowded with, Kamala Khan. Although she's not in Jersey anymore. That's right. That's right. Like I say, I'm going to need to sit down and actually see if this adds up to anything. But it looks like there's tons of fun stuff going on. You and your gnats, always so eager to fight. Always so willing to fail. The Argivy is here. Well, there's someone who's read their Greek. I'm not gonna. Don't worry. I can feel this universe ending. Okay, so we're going straight into like cosmic stuff. All right. All right, well, it's said on the front page, like 40 pages. That's giant size, first issue for $4. So yeah, they're giving us a lot here. Our fight will never end. A little while back, I got a call from Kurt. I get calls from Kurt once in a while. We've known each other for almost 40 years. They got their start working together in the Marvel offices, not freelancing, working there. They were always interesting calls, and they often involve the opportunity for us to work together. Those calls usually start with Kurt saying, I have an idea. An idea of young soldiers from various worlds having fought in a massive interdimensional war their entire lives, finding themselves stranded on Earth with no war to fight until the fight comes to them. Okay. I'm on board. I'll probably sit down and read this, and unless it's got something, egregiously offensive in it, I'll probably be back for the second, because I trust these gentlemen. I trust them because I have read damn near, although I think I missed a few in the last couple of years, but I have read most of all the Astro City, and it's pretty much just consistently great. Even later on, when it gets kind of almost lost in the weeds because there's so much built up, it's still worth reading. It never gets not worth reading. And even later on, when it does get kind of wonky, and you do need to remember some of the continuity, which you can't say about the first Astro City stuff. You can walk in and just pick up any of this early Astro City stuff right off the street. But it does accrue after a while. And there are some pleasures from that as well. And I've read all of the early Aerosmith stuff. I haven't read the more recent Aerosmith stuff. I sort of remember Busiek saying there was a plan to go on following Pacheco's untimely passing. But nothing concrete has been announced on that. So, yeah. $4 for a 40-page first issue. There are worse bargains in this market, in this economy. Let's see what else. Okay. Still reading Conan, because I love Conan. What can I say? This is cover A. Usually I get one of the variants because I don't care for the regular one, but this was the one I brought home today because this one just jumped off the shelves. Jeffrey Allen loved doing that. Who's drawn this issue? Oh, I think it's the same guy who they've had for a while. Rob de la Torre, yes, who really, straight off you can see, he does a dead-on John Buscema. He is 100% in the mold of Buscema, so his Conan is completely influenced by that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, Jim Zub, he's written a fair amount of Conan by now. He wrote some of the Marvel Conan as well. And he's got a real feel for the character. These two guys together, they have a good idea of what a Conan book should look like. Dangerous Diego Rodriguez, color artist. Richard Starkings again on the letters with Comicraft's Tyler Smith. Was there? Yeah. Oh, they do the whole masthead on the front page here. I don't need to know who those people are. If you feel the need to tell me who the president of your company is, I'm just going to head you off the path there, partner. I don't need to know that information. You could put a nice pinup. You chose not to. Oh, so we're dealing with Thulsa Doom here. Always dealing with, he's one of the 3 Conan villains. There's Thothamon, there's Thulsa Doom, and what's that guy? We saw him. We read his first appearance on this. He was actually created in a later Marvel run by, I think, Christopher Priest. What was that guy's name? I can't even remember. He doesn't show up that often, but he has shown up since that run. Devourer of Souls, that's his name. Great name for a Conan villain. He doesn't have that big of a rogues gallery. He's kind of got the Punisher problem, too, which is, Conan's reoccurring villains tend to be people that he can't kill, because otherwise he will kill you. That's, he carries a sword, not just for show. So he's oh man, look at this. This is great stuff. This is great. Man. Okay. All right, this is, honestly, I want more of this. Jim Zub, if you're paying attention, give me more of this, like, trippy cosmic stuff. That is a mode that I think works well with Conan. And it doesn't necessarily get thrummed very often, because you don't want Conan to be, totally epic fantasy. He's not epic fantasy. He's sword and sorcery. But that means he can have, like, lots of really trippy stuff happening. That's what you want from your fantasy books. Oh, there you go. What was I just saying? Cosmic elephants. And we know, because he's met, like, one of the most famous Conan stories, The Tower of the Elephant, is an alien story. It is a science fiction hybrid. But again, you don't want to push the science fiction angle too hard in Conan, but it's there. Battle of the Black Stone. Is that... That's the same cover. Okay. I guess that's only one paycheck you had to write. Here we go. Conan, Cthulhu, Cosmic Horror of Robert E. Howard. Because if you don't know, Robert E. Howard and Lovecraft, they were correspondents. They were actually close correspondents, and they both died way too early. And that's why we don't really have mature work from either of them. They both died as relatively young men as far as writers go. Here are the alternates this time around. Yeah, I think I got the best one in the bunch. And they're always advertising all the Conan games. But I've never heard anyone say anything about any of these games, so who knows? Who knows? All right, here's Archaea's second Jim Henson reprint. They reprinted the Labyrinth limited series, the adaptation from the 80s, which I was actually really happy they did because I bought those comics when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and I only have one of them left. So now I have them back, albeit not with the original. They're not like the Marvel facsimiles. You don't get the fun original ads. They're not going that far out. But they're giving you the original Marvel stories here. And I haven't read the Marvel Dark Crystal, but this is written by David Anthony Kraft, penciled by the great Bret Blevins, a name you should know if you listen to this channel, and inked by Vince Colletta. There's... every rose has its thorn. Lettered by the great Janice Chang. Every time we see Janice Chang, I'm going to point it out. Originally colored by George Russo. Restoration color by Kyle Hallemeyer. It's classy of them to credit the original colorist. And I appreciate the fact that this coloring actually looks pretty decent. They haven't gone all out. If you look, they're using flat colors, the spectrum from that period of Marvel publishing. It looks like the job here, what Hallemeyer's done here, is essentially just to translate as much as he could that exact palette. Because you see, this is not a modern computer palette. This is definitely the original 32 color palette that everyone had for decades. But it looks nice. The paper isn't super shiny. They put a lot of work into making this look pretty decent. And if you've probably all seen The Dark Crystal, or what are you doing? You don't need to be watching this video. Straight up. If you have not seen The Dark Crystal, turn YouTube off and go find it. It is a fantastic movie. It is the weirdest piece of film work that Jim Henson ever did. Maybe not the weirdest thing Jim Henson ever did, period, because his Storyteller show was downright creepy. It had some very scary parts to it. But in terms of his work for the big screen, this was as weird as he got, and this is a very weird movie. Basically, if you haven't seen it, there are these bird things called the Skeksis, and they're about as evil as you can get, and their world is dying, and they're all dying, and they're basically lashing out at everyone around them because their way of life is dying. And they have these warriors, I guess they're called the Garthim, they're saying, who are these skittering beetle creatures who are absolutely terrifying in the movie. Especially because this was ostensibly, keep in mind, a kid's movie. And these things were absolutely terrifying. So this guy has to go on a quest. There you go. A quest to He doesn't know what he's doing, but what he does over the course of the movie will heal the land. So that's actually a good representation of a very difficult thing to draw, this grand concordance machine that this great witch, can't remember her name, Agra, that's it. This great concordance machine that this Agra person has that tells them all about the stars. And the Skeksis' minions come and break everything. And, they're really underselling the scene. It's a big showpiece in the movie, but it's only 2 pages here. But he needs this crystal. That's what he got. You're a gelfling. And they're all this weird elf-looking puppet creature. Your mileage may vary on whether or not it's actually convincing, but they're the protagonists of the movie. There's no regular humans in it. But yeah, see, these guys, they start wrecking everything. They're out just to kill all these gelflings, and that is absolutely terrifying in the movie. Just seeing them move through, basically on a single-minded crusade of ethnic cleansing against these little guys. That's the plot of the movie that this guy's trying to stop. And then they run into this guy who's this absolutely hangdog Skeksis who got exiled for some reason or another. He lost a power struggle, if I recall correctly. And they ride these things, these giant white walker thing, not white walkers, these striders, I guess. But yeah, this is this is a scary scene. Everything in this movie is terrifying. And I saw this everyone saw this when they were very young, and it terrified a generation. They don't make fun, nightmare fuel like this for kids anymore. They just don't. Bless Jim Henson for understanding that what the kids really needed was to have the shit scared out of them. Pardon my French. Yeah, see? Original Labyrinth comic adaptation, a brand new premium edition. This is worth tracking down if you didn't already, just because it's got this John Buscema, Romeo Tanghal artwork. And straight up, John Buscema, he draws a mean David Bowie. And he gets Jennifer Connelly's likeness perfect right off the bat, long before she was anyone. It still holds up as a likeness. He was just a pro like that. So, the journey continues in issue 2. Fun stuff. What else? It felt like a massive week when I was bellying up to the counter there. Just putting this on here to point out that it's still ongoing. I don't know how many issues it's going to be, but this is Juni Ba's big breakout move for DC, which is a Damian Wayne Spotlight miniseries. And there actually haven't been that many Damian Wayne spotlights yet, so it's largely unexplored territory. People really took to this character. I don't necessarily know if I would have predicted that, considering the idea of just giving Bruce Wayne a biological son and having him stick around indefinitely. That's not one that people were guaranteed to love. And yet, people really took to the character, even naming him Damian, which I'm sorry. I don't mind the character, but I think when the suggestion was made to name them Damian, cooler head should have prevailed on that one, but what do I know? Colored by Chris O'Halloran, lettered by Aditya Bidikar. And he's been doing a very striking series of covers. I wonder if that would have looked better with a flat red or a flat magenta. Interesting. Gradients have got a really bad rap. but it's not necessarily impossible to do them well. Anyway, I have to admit I kind of slept on the early Juni Ba stuff. Didn't really pay attention until I heard people were talking about that Monkey Meat series. I think that was the first thing of his that I really heard the buzz on. And, you can see why. Just look through any comic book he draws. He's clearly got some premium influences. I mean, I see lots of Darwin Cook right off the top. He definitely looks like someone who paid attention to Darwin Cook. And he knows, he's not afraid to be cartoony. I have no idea what's going on. I'm waiting till these are stacked up, considering at some point, stacking them up to do them on the TikTok like so many other things. There's a Lazarus Pit if I ever saw one. Oh, it's Red Robin, which I believe is Tim Drake still. Dynamic, easy to read action. Nice looking stuff. Not afraid of using very simple images to sell the story. It works. It works. And there's Ra's al Ghul waiting for his grandson. So, it's out there. Maybe you're waiting for the trade, but I don't do the trade waiting anymore. I like buying the books. What can I say? And we're still buying Deadpool because I've been buying Deadpool since 1997. And he just, he became one of my guys who I was always buying. And then he became one of the most popular characters in the world. And you know how it is when, your guy becomes super popular after he wasn't popular for a long time. It's the same thing with Thanos. Feels weird, man. Feels weird. And the overexposure definitely hurt him. He didn't have an ongoing series for a while after he had many ongoing series. And his last series, which was pretty good. His last series was pretty good, but it only lasted 10 issues. I don't know how long this is going to last. Cody Zigler writing with Roge Antonio and Eric Gapster on pencils. Oh, old-fashioned pencil and inks. Jonas Trinidad and Eric Gupster inking Guru FX Colors. VC's Joe Sabino letterer. And here's an ad for the new X-Men. Straight up, if you go just by the X-Men fans on Twitter complaining, this new reboot is going to be so bad that it will give innocent children cancer. I don't believe it. I don't believe Gail Simone is going to write a bad X-Men comic book. It may not end up being my favorite X-Men comic simply because, we've been over this before. As long as they're married, it's always going to be dragging those characters down. It is. Story-wise, that's just the fact of the matter. But again, remember my perspective, someone who remembers both characters before that relationship existed. There was a period, believe it or not. So, yeah, he's spending time, his daughter is spending time with Taskmaster. Oh, is she teaching him how to take care of herself? And the Greg Capullo return, which, I can't lie. I will probably look at this because I appreciate Greg Capullo. I wish it were Quasar revenge. There's no way in hell that he would ever be making his Marvel return on Quasar. I honestly think it would probably be a big huff to get him at this point to draw like a 5-page Quasar story. But man, I've said it before. If you really want to appreciate and understand Greg Capullo, you go back to Quasar. You go back and see how he learned to draw a comic book. And see why he was so good from the very beginning. And Storm's rejoining the Avengers. Everyone's saying she's joining the Avengers. She's not rejoining the Avengers. She was in the Avengers for a few issues during the Bendis period. And, she wasn't kicked out or anything, so she is still, assumedly, a reserve member in good standing, just like most Avengers who've ever been. So she's not joining. She's rejoining. Just keep it straight. And, giving him a daughter, I think it definitely opened up the character in terms of giving him some kind of grounding in a way that worked, because the storylines that led to him meeting, his family for the first time, deepened the character immensely simply by giving him stakes in his stories other than his own sanity, which was more or less the stakes of the first volume of Deadpool. The Kelly, Priest, Palmiotti run of Deadpool into the Gail Simone run of Agent X. The stakes are very personal. He's this guy who's basically trying not to lose it at any given moment, and he has to learn how to be better. And that's his heroic mission. And then much later down the line, he finds out he has a daughter. He has someone who he has to take care of. Even if he can't live with her for obvious reasons, he still basically has to be thinking about protecting her at all times. And that, I think, was a necessary, component for the character to ground him, to have a relationship like that. I saw no problem with it. And I'm glad she stuck around. They didn't, send her off to the cornfield like when Catwoman got pregnant. Remember that? Now, of course, they could always bring that one. There's a storyline that someone is going to bring back someday. Someone is going to remember, oh, yeah, Catwoman had a kid. Just kill this guy so we can go home. I'm surprised. Of all the characters who they could have picked to actually give a little bit of depth, Taskmaster, giving him the interiority that he has, where he's basically completely insane because he has no memory, and he just, he makes up for it by being good at his job, more or less. And there's pathos there. That scene that he did with Finesse from the Young Avengers, where he's like, well, I don't know, you could be my daughter. If you are, you probably need to be careful about this memory problem we have. Again, family used to humanize, possible family used to humanize an established character. Oh, I'll probably end up coming home with this. I mean, it's got James DeMatteis. I haven't been buying all his new Spider-Man stuff, but they'll probably get some good artists for the Black Suit anthology there. I don't know who's this guy he's fighting. He's got a new villain every volume, just about. One of the many gifts for one who takes the power of the Muramasa blade into himself. So we took away Wade's healing factor, and he's about to cause some pain. Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah, I can't say he wasn't overexposed. Like, clearly, I'm not silly enough to sit here and try to tell you that they didn't make too many Deadpool comic books. but for my sins, I read most of them. All right. So like I say, if you like this channel, stick around. I got tons of other videos. I look at older comics on what's in Tegan's storage locker. I also do daily comic book reviews on TikTok and Instagram. A new comic book review every single day. Every Wednesday this summer, we're doing the Savage Tales anthology from the 1980s. This month, we're doing The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix on Fridays. Sunday's a bit of a potpourri, and we just started a 3-issue Krusty the Clown comic book series from 1995, I think. Lots of interesting stuff bubbling up in the weeks to come. I got a podcast with Claire Napier called Udder Madness. We talk about Top Cow Comics, that's Witchblade, The Darkness, Mark Silvestri, all that good stuff. We are planning on recording an episode about the new relaunch for Witchblade. We're literally sitting down within the next couple days to do that, so look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I should have something up on the Comics Journal one of these days. I know I keep saying that. It's just a way of kicking myself in the tuchus. I need to get with the program and start writing again. I've been enjoying a little bit of a break. What can I say? What else? Oh, I don't know. Please. It is rough going out there right now. You need to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't even hope of taking care of the world around you and the people around you in it. Be kind to animals and small children. Do good and be well. Have a wonderful day.